young Jedi.
Hello there.
Hey everyone, I've been Toy Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at the Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron Ezra Bridger A-Wing. This is actually the training A-Wing that the Rebels were using on Atollon during the Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 20, Twin Suns, where Ezra steals the A-Wing to go warn Obi-Wan Kenobi that Darth Maul's looking for him, even though he already had a suspicion. This ship was in the episode for the first 5-ish minutes before it got destroyed, so because of its limited screen time, it makes it a great candidate to be a 1 of 10,000 rare. This is one that I saw at a Walmart on my way to Motor City Con last week, and there was 2 on the shelf, so I grabbed one to open, one to keep on card, and I'm super happy that I found these because I am a ginormous Rebels fan, and Twin Suns, whether you are a Rebels fan or not, is, in my opinion, essential Star Wars viewership or viewing for any fan. So if you haven't seen that episode, go check it out. Let's go ahead and get into the review and take a look at this and see if this ship is something that you should be adding to your fleet. Here's the ship in the package. We'll take a quick look at it. This is your standard Micro Galaxy package, being a very deep bubble on a card. This card is blue in nature with some black on the edge with your white Star Wars logo, a white square with the Rebels logo in it. The ship is in the big bubble, looking really, really cool in a flight position. You have your Ezra Bridger minifigure, a graphic showing that you can put the figure in the ship. Big surprise there. The number 1 of 10,000 rare sticker. Micro Galaxy Squadron logo with your Ezra Bridger A-Wing name, number 0195. And then around back, you have a blueprint card you can cut out and keep if you choose to do that kind of thing. A hologram of the ship showing the features it does and other ships in the wave. Below that is just a barcode and some legal stuff. So nothing really to talk about there. Let's open it up and take a look at what you're getting here. So here we have Ezra and the A-Wing looking pretty cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figure first. This representation of Ezra comes from Season 3 and onwards in the series, where he has traded the orange jumpsuit for a orange long-sleeve shirt with brown pants, and it is a good look. He features his green gloves. You see his lightsaber hanging on his belt there. He features his blaster holster over there, his shorter black haircut, and he looks really, really good. This figure is like any other Micro Galaxy Squadron figure, where he features swivels at the shoulders and at the hips to put him into a seated position, and that seated position will help him fit into the cockpit of the ship. The ship, to open the cockpit, you kind of have to push on that little nub up there, and it allows you to open the cockpit backwards like that. And then you see in there is a molded seat and some controls, and you just fish Ezra's legs down into the slots they go into, and you can close the cockpit, and like so, you have Ezra closed in the cockpit. There's a slight green tint to the translucent plastic there, so you can see him in there, although, like I said, tinted slightly green. The rest of the ship is cast in a light gray plastic. It features 2 dark gray stripes with an orange stripe across the top of the vehicle. There's a random black dash of paint down here, and then there are little hits of yellow and gray on the barrels of the side over there of the blasters. There is tan on the engines, and then a little bit of gold around the actual thrusters of the engines. Underneath is a little bit simple, and there is just a swivel up and down landing gear. And when you have it folded up, it is in flight mode, and when you pull that landing gear down, you can set the ship down, and it rests on the bottom of these engine flaps and on the foot of the landing gear, like so. The A-Wing is a little bit of a smaller vehicle. It's a simple vehicle. It is, it's an A-Wing. There's not really a lot of moving parts or pieces to it. There's not a lot to it in universe. It is a small, fast starfighter. It's meant for dogfights, and it's a really, really fun vehicle, and it was cool to see it come back in Star Wars Rebels, being that it was a Return of the Jedi exclusive vehicle before that. Speaking of Return of the Jedi, here it is compared to the Return of the Jedi A-Wing, because it is a repaint. A lot of these chases and rares are, and that's nice that they at least aren't usually doing dedicated sculpts as rares, although it does happen. And as you see, it is quite a departure from the Return of the Jedi design in terms of paint, but it is still very recognizable as an A-Wing, as recognizable as an A-Wing possibly could be. It's a really cool design, and it looks just like what you would expect it to. One thing to mention is the proportions of the A-Wing. They do not bother me personally in any way, but technically the proportions are slightly elongated. I believe this to be accurate to Rebels, which is nice here. But in Return of the Jedi, it's actually supposed to be a little bit shorter in the nose here, and some people freak out over this on the collector pages, and there is word that we are getting a new A-Wing sculpt to be correcting that. And it's just something where it's like, if you're correcting it, why are you still using the sculpt on like rares and stuff? Although, like I said, I think it works on a Rebels one, but Rebels is only elongated because of an animation style, whereas, you know, it might be nicer for them just to retire the mold until the new one comes out. But again, personally to me, I'm unbothered. I look at it and I'm like, yep, that is very recognizably an A-Wing, and I really don't have anything negative to say. But if I don't mention it, someone will come into the comments to tell me about how this is wrong. So I have to acknowledge it. Otherwise, though, it's very recognizable as what it is from the source material, albeit it is a bit of a blink and you'll miss it design. So here's Ezra's A-Wing with a smattering of other relevant vehicles, like Darth Maul's Night Brother, which Ezra steals to get away at the end of the Twin Sons episode. Here it is flanked by numerous other Rebels and Rebel Alliance vehicles, and yeah, it's small. It's smaller than the rest of them. I believe that makes it scale well enough for me. Micro Galaxy Squadron truly doesn't have a to-scale element to the line. They kind of just make each ship kind of on their own, kind of random smattering, but you put them together and it generally works, and so that's kind of all that matters to me. It looks good next to them. At the end of the day, what do I think of the Ezra's A-Wing Micro Galaxy Squadron chase? I like it. I think this is like the perfect thing to do as a chase. Something that you see very briefly in like one episode, maybe 2 episodes. If you just make the normal A-Wing a chase, that kinda sucks. But making something like this, something that's a little bit more you blink and you miss it, that's kind of like the perfect chase in my mind. And in my opinion, it's somewhat available. I found it at 2 different Walmarts last weekend. I wasn't even like super hunting either. I went to like 4 Walmarts, so 50-50 success rate for me personally. You know, of course, your results will vary when it comes to hunting for chases. There's chases I've hit dozens of Walmarts looking for and never found. But I digress. But yeah, it's a really cool chase, one that I'm really happy to have in my collection, one that I'm really happy they made, and I think it's pretty cool. So if you find it, I say pick it up. It's from a really cool episode of Rebels. So that's kind of all I got to say about it. Thank you all for hanging out. It's been a good time. May the Force be with each and every single one of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.